What have you found most rewarding about traveling to new places?
Some of the best advice I ever got about living in New York City was, Michael, never forget New York City is an island, which means on a regular basis, you got to get the heck off the island. So there's a reset button that comes with travel. There are certain cultures, certain places in human history. And what I find is as I travel to those places, literally I reclaim different parts of myself. Many places, like I was just in Kathmandu, Nepal in November. And as I was landing, I had a very profound feeling of coming home. And it's certain things that, I've always been really attracted to, for instance, Buddhism. And just my time there, there are different parts of myself that came out in ways that I hadn't experienced before. The amazing thing about Kathmandu is, imagine every 3 feet you walk, there is something sacred. There is a puja, there is a shrine, there is a relic. Literally every 3 feet, there's something stacked on top of the next. And you could be on a random city block and you will find a beautiful statue that is 1,500 years old, that here in the West would be in a museum on a big giant pedestal, and it's just on the side of the road next to people's laundry. And so juxtapose that with choking, obscene amounts of trash and pollution. And so there was this kind of going back and forth between the sacred and the profane, and the way those two things interact with each other. And I saw that as a big theme through my experiences there, and a lot of other places that I traveled, where I just get perspective on the larger human experience, as well as history, and how much our history informs who we are and where we're going.
And is that something you talk about with others, or is it something you keep to yourself?
It's a great question. I find there's a lot more I keep to myself than I share. And part of it is a lot of my experiences, somewhat ironic in that, I'm a storyteller and I'm in the business of communications. And yet a lot of the experiences that I have when I travel and a lot of the experiences of who I am as a seeker are ineffable. They are indescribable, or the act of trying to describe them doesn't do justice. And I don't even want to bother trying to articulate or explain it because I don't have anything to prove. I just appreciate the gift of what I received and experienced. And I feel the better, or I feel different because of that experience. But one of the biggest things that actually I learned in Kathmandu, of all things, and this was just based on some other experiences during my time there, was the ways in which our language and our words can either attract or repel people. The words that we use, especially if you're an innovator or a change maker, you're doing something that's new and different, you're trying to change the world, we often actually are telling a story that is a very judgmental story. And that judgmental story repels more than it attracts. And we don't realize that there's safety in the judgment. So one of the mistakes that I see people make all the time when it comes to telling their story, and this is understandable because if you're on stage in front of a big group of people, it's intimidating, especially if you have a provocative or a world-changing message. And one of the things to be aware of is that we often prioritize our own safety above the safety of our audience. But it was a really big, important piece of the puzzle, and it was very much based on the context of the experiences I had.